release event, amazing session where we will just share all what we have built so far, and especially this huge release that was kind of just piling up towards all October and Oktoberfest and kind of all DPRs that were submitted. And this is a really, really huge thing. So kind of last thing before we will jump into just present again what is Novu and how it's working, I just want to say that we also will be conducting, we will be giving swag. So if you guys want to participate, I just shared a link over the chat. So please go there, fill your name, fill your email address, and we will announce the winners in other event over Discord. So you guys could really enjoy what we have designed for you and for our community members. All right, so without further ado, I'm really happy to present here Dima. Hi, Dima. We have also Omer here and our producer, Novu, which you probably all know. And yeah, Dima, grab the mic.
All right. So first of all, do we kind of, is there anything you want to also present, Emil, on your end, or you're good?
I'm good. Maybe later words, I will, if we will have time, I will share something else, but currently just you go.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I would love to kind of give a quick, a brief update to maybe some of the new folks to Novu here about what we are actually and what we're trying to do. So basically, Novu is an open source notification infrastructure. And what does it mean is that we are providing a unified API basically to communicate across multiple channels. It might be email, it might be SMS, push, and we have our own internal channel, which is the Novu Notification Center, that can be easily accessed via the API or using our available components for it. As probably most of you know, Novu is 100% open source. So all the code that is powering Novu behind the scenes, the API, the web, everything is available on our GitHub repository. Maybe Novu can post in the background the link to any of you that may be not familiar with it. Feel free to go and explore it. If you'll have any questions and things that you would love to know about it, our team is available and very active on Discord as well with some of our community members that I see here in the attendees. And this is really kind of generally speaking about who we are and what we do here. And as Emil mentioned before that, we had an incredible big release during Oktoberfest. It was so many amazing activities. And I think, Emil, we had more than 120, I think, contributors for this release, right?
So I think that total amount, yeah, probably around that, and around 450 maybe submitted PRs. Okay,
this is crazy. Wow.
But yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, and it was, I think, by far our biggest release in terms of contents and outside collaborators. It was really a community effort, I think, this release, and I think our part of it is like the core team at Novu is very a small portion in terms of the actual code delivered, and I'm really honored to have all the amazing contributors as part of this release. I will be attaching here also the release tags for this release and the release notes. So you can take a look at it, maybe see your avatar in the contributors section. So generally speaking, I think it's we'll be touching some of the contributions you probably made during this event and showcasing some of the features that was made available from the 0.9 release. And I think that would be it from my end. And mics go over to Omer to share with us kind of on a high level, what are the things that we've been building during this release.
Cool. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we can.
Absolutely amazing. So really, really nice to see everybody here. I think we've got a bunch of folks joining for the second or the third time. So really appreciate the support over time. As Dima mentioned, the numbers skyrocketed in October, and it's just amazing to see. So thank you so much. So you will see, and later on we'll also have a full demo, and hopefully this time we're taking this super hands-on, which I think you guys will like. A couple of the amazing features we were able to get out this version. We're not gonna, and I appreciate we have contributors in the crowd. We're not gonna be able to cover everything because there's so much. But yeah, and maybe take advantage of of this stage to say we're also going to be opening up the stuff we are aiming to build for the next versions and the versions after. In terms of it's going to be like a public roadmap on our GitHub. So this is just to give you a little bit of a taste for what's coming up in the future. I think most notably, so some of the things coming out is what we call advanced debugging and how it works with the activity feed. So we listened to a bunch of the feedback and the things that can take the experience for all of us a couple of steps forward for all the users as well as guys just joining for the first time. So now you're able to really track what's happening on the platform and like your own usage into a pretty granular level of details. And coming up, the final pieces of this in the next release, including also webhooks, you're going to be able to track your workflows between different steps of what you set up to do in the workflow, and each one of those steps where it either like gets stuck if we're unlucky, or like the full deliverability cycle of each message that is being sent as part of the workflow. So if you're trying to set up something new to create like sophisticated workflow, maybe a digest, maybe use filters, maybe you're using some user preferences, all of this is extremely transparent through the new activity feed and what we call the advanced debugging modal. So hopefully we get a chance to see this later on. We've had a lot of other improvements, including some API calls caching that is going to improve performance. But I think in terms of like the most visible features, that's part of it. I would really recommend going through the release notes. They're pretty short, pretty to the point. But yeah, this is a lot of rambling on my side, a lot of talking. I think we're all here to actually see the things happening. So yeah, let's do this. And yeah, if you have any questions, write them down in the chat.
Perfect. So let me quickly share my screen and we can deep dive kind of on the things we are about to do. Novu, could you just allow me to share my screen just to make sure I'm able to do it?
Meanwhile, folks,
Perfect,
everyone who is in the audience, please make sure to ask the questions. You can do it in the Q&A section over the chat, so we could address it when we will actually have our Q&A session in the end of this live release.
Perfect. Thank you. And by the way, I'm not seeing the chat, and also feel free to kind of stop me if there are any burning questions regarding some of the things
sure.
People might want to know. So as mentioned before, welcome to the new version of Novu, the release 0.9.0. As I mentioned before, just look at this. This is the release notes. And we had around 200 commits in, so it's 200 commits since the previous release already. So everybody is working really hard on the next version already. But just look at the amount of community contributions here. Like each line is a person really helping making Novu awesome, and I'm scrolling and scrolling. Initially, we had a problem with GitHub basically truncating the list, and we had to shorten it a bit so everybody will fit in. And seeing all of these amazing people here making it a reality makes me really proud and honored to host some of you here as well with us here. So let's go back, and I will kind of love maybe to showcase kind of an imaginative story that we are about to test the features and see basically interact with the system. So one of the things I wanted to kind of unveil, and let me just move, I hate those bars from, okay, let me move it. The Zoom bars are like covering half of my screen. Yeah, can't see anything. So one of the things that I would love kind of to showcase here is this is our upcoming notification center demo that will be available hopefully around this or next week. We're finalizing the latest details on this one here. And kind of give you a very quick introduction to the Novu notification center demo app, which is a beautifully, in my opinion, designed, and it will be kind of also part of our Vercel integration soon.
It looks so good.
Yeah, with all of the moving bits and pieces. So basically, Novu is here about notifying users about certain events happening within your products or applications. As differently maybe from some of the marketing automation tools in the field, we are mainly focused about delivering value generated by your application to users across multiple channels. So in our imaginative kind of scenario, we have some sort of a dashboard that provides a lot of interesting statistics. It looks like Twitter stock moving and failing.
So there is no Twitter stock anymore.
Oh, so they went. Okay, yeah. We can talk about it later. I'm outdated. Like everything changes so fast there. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to generate notification over multiple channels, and along the way, trying to touch some of the features released during this version. So the first one, which I'm really excited about, is the command center within Novu. It's a really nice addition that was driven mostly by community members, and I'm really excited to have it. I use it quite a lot recently, and I believe there's a lot of things we could actually add here to make it even better. But let's start by going to the integration screen and basically integrating our email provider as the first provider we're going to integrate. So I have pre-configured some API key here. It's a test API key with SendGrid. So I just pasted it here. So I won't compromise my secret keys. It's not really a problem because it's made only for this test. So I'm not that concerned about it. But, you know, I've done my homework.
It's a good practice. It's a good practice.
Exactly. So one of the things that we've been hearing a lot from people is it really is sometimes hard to integrate Novu with existing providers because sometimes you have to do some configurations over providers and you need to verify your email account, for example, or make sure that the API key is set up correctly. And a lot of those things were only discovered after you were starting to send your notifications. And we thought that we could definitely do better. So let's try to update this integration and see what happens. So basically, I've tried to update this integration and I've got an immediate error. And what is very interesting about this error is it actually provides me an error from SendGrid regarding all of my keys available here that will actually say to me, what am I missing in my configuration? So let's say what it says me here. So the from address does not match a verified sender identity. Mail cannot be sent until this error is resolved, and it provides a link for the SendGrid documentation. Because I'm working in the notification space quite a while, I'm quite familiar with this error. And it was a very common error of some of our users to have is that what it says basically, the from address is not a verified address. And why the provider is doing this verification is just to make sure that you're not impersonating someone by saying, hey, I'm going to send an email from, I don't know, like Elon Musk at twitter.com, for example. So you have to verify in the DNS level the email address you're sending. And I'm already seeing a mistake here. So we are missing here the dima@novu.co, which I accidentally missed. And it was really helpful for me to understand it right here in the integration screen. We are providing more and more availability for this feature for all of our providers. I think today, most of them already covered. And it helped me already so much time in doing some of our test projects and interacting with Novu in general to kind of making sure we can actually see the problems as we go. So after we resolve this problem, we will actually update it. We see that now it was successful. By the way, you've probably seen that we also provide to skip the validation in case, okay, you know, there is a problem, you might fix it later and you still want to make this integration, you can skip this validation. But for now, everything is worked and we can continue on our next challenge. So the second thing we're going to do is showcasing one of the things that we've been working on based on your feedback and requests. And basically, this is the actual seen, unseen, and read-unread functionality within Novu, which is previously was only working. There was two problems with it. Okay, it was called seen, but it was actually working as read. So what would happen is that you will have the unseen badge available for the notification, and it would only switch off if you click on the actual notification. Rather, as I would expect it, is that if I see a notification, I will have some indication that it's a new notification I have never seen before, and also read that will indicate that maybe I interacted with it or clicked with it. So this is what we're going to explore, and let's do a very quick showcase of how it might look like. So let's call this notification new alert. Let's start with a very simple one, and let's add an in-app channel. We're going to go back for this because there is some really awesome things going on there. And what am I going to do is I'm going to add a very simple content for it. There is a new alert available. Okay, and I'm going to create this notification. Quite simple, nothing too complex. So the other part that we're going to showcase here is this is another something new that we released during this version is the test workflow button. And previously, if you already played with Novu, what you would have to do is you would need to go create some demo node application or like go to Postman and try it out and send a call request for this. From this version on, you could actually click on the test workflow button and we will already pre-populate some of the information. If you would use any actual variables here, we would also pre-fill them for you. And we're also providing your current user in the Novu platform as the initial subscriber ID, and you can modify whatever you want here. You can actually add new variables and modify the contents of it. So I'm going to keep it simple. So I'm going to just trigger it for myself, the current logged in user for the purposes of this demo. And once the actual template has been triggered, you could see something new that we are showcasing here. And if I click on it, I can basically see that we have an in-app notification generated. It was successfully, and the message was actually sent. And we are seeing some timestamps regarding some of the activity that happened. We will go back to it later in more depth, but for now, since everything then went smoothly, we can just close it up, and we already see the red small dot on my notification center. Again, reminder, by default, we're using the current user for the demo purposes here, so we're just going to see it here. For your case, you could actually ping it for some test user in your system, and etc. So when I click on the notification center, I could actually see a new notification available here, and I can also see that there is a new small dot available in addition to the previously created unread mark that we had in the notification center. What this small dot says basically is that this notification is unseen yet. So if I will close the notification center, you can see that the small dot is disappeared. If I open it up, basically it's not here, and it's still marking this notification as unread. Further down the line, we will make sure that also this will be configurable, so you can configure it in the way you prefer it to work as, specifically for this dot. And for people working with our API, you could, again, implement it in any way you prefer. So now you have these two flags available for you. So you can really configure this functionality based on your needs, and you can actually query the unread and unseen count for the notification center and display it based on your user experience that you want to provide. By default, Novu shows the small dot only when we have unseen notifications, and they're still available here as read. A lot of you, like, we've been waiting for this, really kind of implemented it initially, and it took us some time, and I said, hey, you know what, we actually done it a bit wrong, and some of the community folks kind of mentioned it out on Discord, and we're really happy to make it as you would probably expect it to work and behave. And the previous behavior, if I would click on it, it would just turn it as read only, and we also have the mark all as read available here to mark all notification as read and seen in this scenario. So this was about two really interesting pieces of this workflow, and this basically the test workflow modal, which I already seen a lot of you started to use it within your systems. And I think it's really, really, really helpful to debug some things when you're working with Novu. Another thing that I wanted kind of to highlight, and this is something, I'm not sure if any of you are Raycast users, but basically George from our team created Raycast integration with Novu with some very helpful tools. And one of the tools is actually a trigger form that you could trigger notifications from Raycast. So go ahead, if you're using Raycast, check out the store and search for Novu. It's a new integration created by George from our team, and it's also open source. So go take a look at it. This is two very interesting ways that you can actually work with Novu, one from Raycast, and the other one is also from the test trigger model. Awesome. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do some deliberate mistake on our provider, and this is mainly to showcase the new activity feed. So I'm going to update it. If you remember previously, I told you that you could actually turn off the verification of the providers, so it actually can save this mistake. And what we're going to do is we're going back to our new alert notification, and we are going to add a new channel for it. And this channel is going to be called email. We are going here. You have new alert available. Our stock exchange system generated a new alert for you. And let's add a small button that says, see the alert. Super simple, but hopefully, and maybe we could even center it just so it will be nice. By the way, kind of a small teaser, and Amr will touch about it later. We are working on making the whole experience of email editing much more easier and much more convenient with inline previews, also for custom code and a lot of new cool things that our team is working on right now. And we will be able to showcase it to you in our next live release event. So let's update, and maybe let's add some variable here just because we can. And one of the things that you can actually see is this is the variable management pane. And what it provides you and allows you to do is basically to configure what variables are actually required, and will basically throw an exception when you try to trigger a notification if a variable that is required is not available for you. And you also could provide default values for variables in case the alert name is not provided. We could actually say, hey, you know what? We could just say the main alert, for example, or any placeholder that you would love to see if this value is nullable, or you don't have to pass it actually. So we're going to save this workflow, and we're going to do something again with here. So I would go back. Let's make sure that we review again what we have. We have our in-app, we have our email, looks perfect. Let's save it, and then we are going to trigger the test trigger. So as you've seen, we automatically updated some fields in the modal here. So we have the email added because we actually added an email channel. So we basically need to to send it to somewhere. And you could see I have the Dima at Hack Squad. You're all probably familiar with Hack Squad. I hope many of you. I was also trying to participate, but some of the teams there were so amazing. And I think I just kind of I'm in between there, like in the bottom of the list, trying to do my best in contributions, but it was really fun, and I still have my email available here, and I have the alert name generated for me, so I could say my new alert here. So I'm going to trigger this notification, and let's see what's going to happen. So you could see that the template triggered successfully, and this is because once we receive the trigger event request from you, we actually schedule this notification to be delivered asynchronously, which means that we might send a request to the delivery provider, and there are different things that might happen along the way. For example, the delivery provider might reject the message. The delivery provider might say to you, hey, you know what, I've scheduled this message, everything is okay, but the email actually bounced back from this request. So there are some things that we could only know asynchronously about, and the new execution details modal is really about it. So I'm going to close it here, and I'm going to show it to you on the new activity feed. Basically, it's the same view. And it's a new view we are providing to get a better understanding of what's going on behind the scenes with different delivered notifications for your users. So I'm going to click on it, and you can see it's basically the same view that you've seen previously from the trigger event test model that we've seen previously. And I could see that the email notification was successfully delivered, and I could actually see that it's the case here. We're seeing the notification. And the email one seems to have some problems, and let's see what the problem is. So when I open it up, I can see that we have created a step. The step was queued. We are beginning initializing a sending of a message. We've generated the template for it. You could also actually see everything that we've passed to this template as providers internally. So this is all available in the context of the actual email template or any other channel for you. So we have the subject here that you've inputted, I inputted previously. We have the subscriber block that is automatically available by your system, and we have another metadata code step, and this is mostly related to digest functionality, and you can see that the digest attribute is false here, so it's not used. And let's click on the error one. And basically, if I click on it, I can get the actual response from the delivery provider, and I could see that I have the same problem that I ignored previously, but now it's happening in runtime. And I've seen a lot of cases, for example, there might be billing issues with the delivery provider, the different use cases that might happen. And we were being able, and actually Novu users being able to identify quickly when they're using the platform. So I'm going to go back to the integration store, and I'm going to say, hey, I missed this one again. So I'm going to update it. I'm going back to the notifications screen. I'm going to hit the test button again. Let's change it to new test. And I'm going to trigger a notification. Hopefully everything was successful right now here. And this is the case. We are seeing that the message was actually sent. We're getting back from the delivery provider the actual ID of the transaction and the date that the message was scheduled on the SendGrid servers. And everything went smoothly, and I probably already got the email, and I already see the notification on my phone that I did. So
you need to show us the notification.
I just have my email like scrambled up, and I like, you have to trust me, like, you know.
That's fine. I'm trusting.
It's like always funny, like, you know, it's like showing your email is like showing your messy room, like with all the mess.
Exactly. You need to pick up our socks, man. Yeah.
Sorry about it. But as you've seen, we all again got the notification center, which says that the flow was actually successful. So let me just have a sip of coffee again. By the way, do we have any questions from the audience until now? Any kind of interesting things that you're catching up?
All the questions that we will gather. By the way, the audience, please feel free to go to the Q&A button in your kind of button bar and just post a question there, and we will address it probably when the time scheduled for the Q&A will be in the end.
Perfect. So we've touched this one briefly. One thing that kind of was quite annoying for me personally is, and you can see the new add nodes here that we have George been working on, and we have also Ronnie been working on together, is basically to allow you to create nodes in between steps. Previously, you could only do it in the end, and it was a bit annoying because if you want to add something before, it would be quite a problem to do it. And I would love to add basically a digest node prior to our in-app and email. And as of you probably know, the digest node aggregates multiple events. And when it aggregates those events, it does not send them directly downstream the flow. It will actually combine them into a unified event. And after that, it will send it as a single notification to the user. So if your system, if you go back to our alert generating system, imagine we have like a very bad DevOps day in our team, and we have so many alerts sticking in. So basically, each time the alert is triggered, and I personally experienced this with Google Cloud and Amazon. My emails sometimes look like 100 emails in like 2 minutes about something. Basically, in this scenario, if we will trigger a notification event each time the graph actually passes the threshold level, the user will get an email each time about it. And this is not a very good user experience. And I think this is where we have the digest really coming into play. So what we will do for the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to do something very simple. So I'm going to say, I want to have a time interval of at least 1 minute, basically to aggregate events coming in for the digest engine. We have different digest strategies. We have backoff, which will basically mean that we will send the first notification, and if another one will arrive in the window of the timer, like in history, we'll begin a new digest. If not, okay. It's, for example, from Twitter, you might get the first like about your post or Instagram, but then you become very trendy and popular. You don't want to get like about any kind of new event coming in. So we'd love to get a digested kind of report about it. So I've added a digest here. I'm going to click the update button. And what we're going to do is I'm going to modify a bit our in-app just so we could actually see the events coming in. So if you remember, we have the variable that's called step, and we have the events, and let's do just a simple length. And let's call this, there are new events for you. Okay, we could do it dynamically, and we could say, okay, if we have only one event, we could do a bit different message. But again, for the purposes of this, I'm going to keep it simple. So we have, we have the trigger, digest, in-app, and email. Let's trigger. Now what we're going to do is the first one is going to be first event. I'm going to trigger it. I'm basically going to ignore it, and I'm going to trigger it again. Now with the second one, and I'm going to, so what I got here is that what it says to me is that the remaining execution has been merged to an active digest, and we will show it to you in a second how it actually looks. So if I go back to the activity feed, I could actually see that 2 events happening right now. We have one active event that we have actually, that step was delayed. We have 2 steps created, but not executed yet. And this message is currently delayed. And we could see that it's digesting events for 1 minute. And right now we actually have an active digest happening in. And if I'm going to wait just a second more, let's see, wait for the digest to finish. And we will have a new event coming in, combining those 2 events. So all the further digested events will be displayed as such, and we could actually navigate to the actual open digest event. And we could see that the digest has finished, and we actually, we could see that the steps for the digest events found, and we basically forwarded the actual events back. We could see we have 2 events here. This is the second one, and this is the first one. Both of them were digested for the same node. And you can also inspect them here. You could copy them and kind of continue your investigation from other places too. If I close it, I could actually see the notification center saying to me, hey, there are 2 new events for you. So this is the hooray point of our digest functionality successfully finished. What I'm kind of suggesting for any of you that's planning to work with Novu, go ahead, experiment with the new activity feed. I would really love to hear your thoughts and ideas about it. If it works well for you, if it doesn't work for you. Omer will touch in just a second. I can already see that I have my time limit coming close. Omer will touch a bit about some of the additions we would love to do for this thing. And one of the bigger ones is the actual webhook support. So we already have a behind the scenes service. This service is already deployed, but not, let's say, I can do a live demonstration. Let's see if it works. So we have already the service deployed. So it's called the dev in our dev environment, the webhook.novu.co. This service is actually responsible for getting notification webhooks from different delivery providers about bounces, about opens, about reads from the different delivery providers, and actually unifies them under a single roof so you could see what's going on with them. We are going to release this in the next version. We're wrapping up our support for the different providers that actually allow us to add webhook support, and we will release it hopefully quite soon, and Omar will touch about it a bit later. I will quickly go over some of the smaller changes here, and I will kind of briefly go with you over the release notes just to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So the subscribers list is kind of initially showcasing all the registered subscribers. You could actually see them again, mainly for debugging purposes, understanding what's going on. We probably will invest a bit more in the future over this screen, hopefully to even provide kind of a view from the user perspective about how much notifications particular users are getting. Maybe to showcase, hey, you have users are getting 200 emails a day. Maybe it's time to add a digest and hopefully other suggestions in the future. This is really the first step in this direction, and I'm really excited about about this. And this was actually performed by one of our community members entirely. We didn't plan to do it in this release, but it's something that somebody actually needed, and he went ahead and just contributed this amazing page for us. Thank you so much, and we'll soon find you on the contributor list as well. So let's go quickly back for the release notes. You could go a bit deeper into what's going on here. We've touched about the scene and read. We touched about the notification observability system. Here you have the sneak preview of the actual events we're going to support from webhook: sent, received, read, seen, and clicked. This is again depending on the availability of the provider. Testing, we touched that we have the APNS push integration in beta right now. So if you're an iOS developer, I would love to hear your feedback and thoughts regarding that. The new navigation, go check the schedule delay functionality, because I think this one is really cool. Basically, you get schedule delay based on a property you are sending to the trigger event, and just do basic time delays. So this is really interesting functionality. I would love to hear your questions and thoughts about it later. And there's a huge list. Unfortunately, we don't have much time, and I want to allow some time for questions. And that would be it from my side. Hope this was interesting for you. And back to you, Emil.
Well, it was amazing. Thank you, Dima. And I already see that Maxime asked a question if Golang SDK is ready to use. So Dima, you can maybe address it over the chat, and we will continue to Omer's presentation over the roadmap and the upcoming things.
Yeah, so I think at this point, so we will, as said, we will both release like a more strategic roadmap. So sort of like 6-8 months into the future on our GitHub. But I see some questions and people are wondering regarding the next version. So maybe we take it from there. So we're really like pedal to the metal, working hard on bringing together a couple of features that were asked by the community. So one of which is really the editing experience and like notification creation end to end. So with the amazing help of of the team and maybe later on also community members, we're taking the creation and editing experience a couple of steps forward, which includes like a quick preview while creating, for example, like an email, within the context of like you just like click on your clipboard like a shortcut, you see the preview, and testing capability. So like you can just send yourself like a quick test email or a quick test, in Apple, whatever that might be, from the editor, just quickly filling like the variables you might want to see there, and it's gone and it's happening. We are also going to have preview capabilities, so you're going to be able to see what it's like on web, what it's like on mobile, as well as what's called the pre-header, which is the inbox view. So when you're working on an email and you're setting up the subject, the first couple of lines, you'll be able to see from the get-go, from the editor, what it looks like in the inbox in web and mobile. So it's like the really full preview mode to be able to see everything and test everything very quickly. So it's not just for emails, it's going to be also for the other channels as we continue to work on that. There's two more big things coming up in the version. So one is really taking our stuff, like the Novu sort of core, it's a little bit like React oriented, and we get a lot of help from our latest addition to the team, Pavel, that is working on creating it more framework agnostic, which would be like a major step forward to like open to whatever framework you might be using out there, which I think is going to be amazing for us to make the community more inclusive in a way. And then lastly, we're working on groups. We are still figuring out the name. We also asked you guys on Discord, what do you think the best name? Maybe it will be topics, maybe it will be groups or segments, but we'll see. So vote and cast your vote and be part of the decision. But basically, yeah, topics is a good candidate. But I'll say this is something that was asked many times, and I think now it's really good timing for us to touch on this as like our entire API set suite like matures, and with this feature, you're going to be able to go through all the sophisticated and advanced topics scenarios, including like topics on the fly. So like ephemeral topics for like all, for example, if you have like some social app, so you can get like the topic of all the people that comment on a post and like message all of those people, or all the people that like a post, or all the people that vote, or so really going to be robust and scalable for like heavy usage of like on the fly topics, as some of you probably are already thinking of, as well as in the gaming industry, etc. So lots to talk about that, but this would be programmatically happening through the API to begin with creation and deletion and everything that includes in there that you might need. So we have more like minor stuff in that version as well, but I think I just wanted to touch on the big stuff. Obviously, like we are always listening, so if there's anything that you need, just let us know and we'll get into the later versions. And yeah, that's it for the next version.
All right, thank you, Omer. And I think right now we already kind of, if Dima and Omer or maybe Novu, you guys have anything else to add, I think now will be a good time. And if not, we could already move forward to the Q&A section of this event. So I just want to remind everyone, please post your questions over the Q&A button so we could answer the questions or in a live way or in a written way. So everyone could benefit from it, even if someone will kind of miss a question. So let's just do that. Let's start with the question that, yeah, the features for 0.10. You're not audible, Dima?
It never works for me. So I think I'm kind of scrolling over the questions in the chat, and I already see that David suggested to post some sneak peek photos of the new editor functionality. I would suggest you to go over Discord, and David, maybe after this event, will actually post some photos and some screens from the new functionality. We've been discussing the topics and kind of different things about it with you during, with most of you, like during Discord and previous weeks. So we're trying to kind of provide an insight and already consult and share our thoughts. So if you're not on our Discord, I would love to have you here and to actually affect a lot of the decisions we're making behind the scenes for the next version. So Omar touched topics, we touched, we have Biswa been working on something really amazing, and this is the actual avatars support for the notification center. So we will have the actor entity when sending an actual notification. So the actor might be a user, it might be a system, and you could actually see an avatar image next to the notification center. And also one of the really exciting things I'm looking for is the webhook support that will be released as well as part of the next version. We have quite a few other things kind of running in, and Omar touched most of them previously, so I don't think we should kind of repeat that. So,
okay, so let's,
what else we have?
Let's address the Golang SDK.
I actually realize now that we are, so I think Jorge mentioned that there is the World Cup soccer matches right now, so maybe we'll go and watch it a bit later. Need to make sure that we're scheduling events, not on FIFA.
Right. So could you address the Golang SDK right now?
Yes. So the Golang SDK, and I will touch all the SDKs in general. Right now, we have different sprouts of different SDKs led by the community. We have a PHP, we have Elixir, we have Golang, we have Python, and we have Golang, as I mentioned before. What else? I think I'm probably missing some of them. We are trying to formalize everything under the documentation we already have for the API. It's a lot of work to consolidate everything because not all of the SDKs have support for everything. And we have a lot of community members kind of took stewardship and ownership over different SDKs. So if you're willing to help more actively on the development of the SDK, write it on Discord. I know for Golang, I think Mitka is done really major changes recently there, and it's like it should be usable at this point. Maybe it will missing some of the API endpoints, but for the main ones, for the trigger events, it should be available and kind of the base functionality there. And the same goes with all the other ones. We hopefully will consolidate everything soon under the documentation, so it will be accessible here. We just like it's again, Oktoberfest was quite hectic for us, so many activities and PRs to review. So we hopefully will be able to get to it soon and kind of announce it in a more official way of the different methods available and how you can actually contribute to it as well.
One thing that I just want to remind everyone is that once you kind of trying to tackle an issue or solve something and you noticing that it's something that you just cannot put your hands on, maybe over the documentations, or maybe you feel some bad user experience over the control center, just please make some screenshots, go maybe put a discussion over GitHub, or go to our Discord support channel and post it there so we could address that and we could improve. So okay, great, we addressed the Golang SDK. Maxim, if you have any further questions please post it there or kind of in the Q&A. And we have another question. So if we are adding a provider, is it important that the provider should have a package in NPM registry?
So it's a good question. And if you're looking at kind of the Novu web providers, yes, it is necessary. So we are actually wrapping and creating NPM providers and publishing them for the community. If the question is also regardless about a provider that maybe don't have an official NPM, so what we've done previously is you could just make an HTTP request using Fetch or any other HTTP library's own node. So the provider itself doesn't have to have like an official NPM package, but you could just make the request over HTTP. And I think we have some providers that actually do it like this. And for more of the custom SMTP servers, you could always use NodeMailer or one of the base SMTP providers we provide, which is basically allows you to connect it to any SMTP server available for it.
Okay, I hope it actually answers the question from Satyajit. I hope I pronounced that right. But we have another question from him or her, I'm not sure. If not, then how can I create a package so that I can use it in Novu as you have used for different providers like Novu, like Twilio?
So we can do it either way. So one of the ways would be to actually add a pull request. We have a guide on our docs of how to create a new provider. So if you already have a community-driven package, you could actually skip the part where you edit in the monorepo. If you didn't yet created the package, I would suggest to create it inside of the Novu monorepo, because sometimes we are doing like a cross providers migrations and updates, and it will make it just much easier for us to do it like as a single move to refactor things. Otherwise, we will have to remove the provider until it will be refactored on the third-party side. So if you already have the package, you could just link it and follow the guide on the docs. If you don't have it, I would suggest, again, follow the guide on the docs and generate the provider in our monorepo, create a pull request for it. We have a few pull requests already pending. And again, I wanted to apologize kind of for the contributors. We're having a stockpile of PRs to review from Oktoberfest, and we're trying to do our best. Some of the PRs require a bit more coordination, so it might take a bit some time, but our team is really, everybody wants to make it everything merged, and we will do it gradually until we kind of reduce the backlog generated from Oktoberfest. So I hope you understand that.
All right, thank you, Dima. And Omer, will you address Russell's question?
Yes, absolutely. So just in case someone didn't see, the question is about permissions. And like already I see is people start thinking about different teams using Novu. So well, to sort of like address both points. Yes, we see, it's probably the later stage at some point this year, but yes, we see, at some point, some other teams probably joining the Novu, probably using the GUI if they're not developers. Like this is something we will mature into. For now, like really, our mind is focused on, on like making the best service for the developers first. But when we get to that at some point next year, it might be like late in Q1, maybe in Q2, but definitely we have this in our roadmap. We'll also have the first model of permissions. So, obviously once different people start using the GUI, not everybody's going to have the same access. And when we start working with enterprises and really upgrading everything around like the enterprise requirements, then this will be part of it, as well as, the most like advanced security requirements, our SOC 2 certificate, like all of the enterprise stuff. Yeah, so hopefully this answers the question. We can't really say like what the exact date, but this is on the roadmap.
Okay, thank you, Omer. We have another question. Do you currently support queuing for large notification campaigns? If not, do you see a need for it?
So as Omer touched before, the next kind of thing in the roadmap called topics, and basically topics allows to fan out large notification amount to like group of users. It might be, for example, let's take GitHub, for example. You have a GitHub issue and we have multiple watchers for this issue, or maybe watchers for repository, and we want to say, something happened, here's an update about this topic ID. Send a message to everyone, subscribe to it. And will also allow for some of the campaign kind of functionality. So basically you could create a topic named campaign with some particular ID, subscribe users to it. And then after that, you would only trigger the notification for this topic ID instead of subscriber ID. And we will behind the scenes fan out the notifications for them. I hope this answers your question, and it will be hopefully available on the next release of 0.10.
Sounds great. Sounds great. So happy to get more examples for the topic. That do we have any examples?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. There's really a ton of examples. So I think one example, Novu would be probably love to hear, is that during HackSquad, for example, we wanted to notify teams about chat messages inside or any updates. So basically, you could say the topic is an actual team with an ID, and you could send notification for this topic, and all the subscribed users would actually get notifications for. It might be this. It might be, for example, you might send a notification to all organization members. So in this case, an organization will be a topic with its ID. Let's take Trello, for example. You might want to send a notification for example, anyone that is subscribed to a particular card, Jira kind of functionality. Topic might be, for example, if you are insight generation platform that maybe does some large data sets processing, and you want your users to be able to create filters and get updates for those filters. For example, as a user, I want to get updates about any new restaurant in New York that is vegan and serves like vegan burgers. So you could create this custom topic inside Novu, and basically when your system generates new info for it, you could just say, okay, send it to whoever subscribed to this topic, and things like that. I hope this provides a bit more topics, but it's really something that you could utilize in so many ways. It's quite flexible, and hopefully will answer a lot of use cases.
I hope it actually really was helpful. We have another question. Can you please suggest a certain provider in Novu which don't have NPM package, so I can refer them and proceed accordingly, because I'm working for bulk SMS integration and that doesn't have an NPM package?
I don't have one on the top of my mind. Maybe if you could just post it on our Discord, and either I or somebody from the community will try to find an example. Basically, try to look inside. By the way, GitHub released the new code search functionality, so try to look inside the provider's folder for fetch or node fetch libraries, and maybe you'll surface something up there.
Okay, I hope it helped. And in any case, please feel free, even if not in this session, feel free to just type your questions over the support channel, over Novu's Discord, because there you could be sure that everyone from our engineering team, from our community, will address and provide you with the most accurate or the most kind of thorough answer. We have also something that Nevo asked: could we support big groups? And Omer already answered that we should be able to support big groups. Okay.
Yeah, we will, like, in terms of for the first release, we probably might create some synthetic barriers towards that, just to make sure that we're learning kind of the use cases in an appropriate way. But the main goal for this functionality is to allow big groups, and it's part of it. We'll kind of provide more details as we move forward. And I see David already answered here for the node fetch provider. So thanks.
Thanks, David. Yeah, so basically it's the whole team here on this live release, and it's amazing. So do we have any further questions? You can ask anything. I also just reminding that you can ask privately or preferably over Discord or even open discussions over GitHub. So everyone over the community could benefit from it. Yeah. It's something that definitely not going to be discussed here. Okay, but I think that it's going to be. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I'm not going to bet. So Novu, okay, we have one more. Are we going to implement fallback options? If the notification will not be delivered within a certain time, then it will be delivered from another provider.
It's a very great suggestion. It's something that we've been thinking on. We don't yet have any particular kind of release like associated to this functionality, but it's definitely something that we've heard for a couple of times, and it's kind of on our roadmap. We don't yet have any date planned for it yet.
Yeah, it's something we have on our list. I think it's cool, but I think like maybe it would be a little bit of a different use case from under the same umbrella. Like once we have like webhooks, which is fully integrated, which is coming very soon. You can actually like very soon you will be able to sort of like fall back to a different channel and say like if something is not read or like if it's not delivered, like you were saying in the question, then maybe you want to send in some other channel, and then later on we'll have also the fallback provider for the same channel.
All right. Do we have any further questions? Feel free to ask them now. Dima, Omer, maybe you guys got something maybe that you think we should mention or something that we just haven't touched?
I think from my end, nothing else. As always, we are available on Discord. I'm looking for David to send some sneak preview for the next release. We recently changed the branching strategy and we announced it on Discord. We working as Next as our default branch. And yeah, I think everything else probably we'll discuss it further on Discord as we always do.
All right. So just I want to announce that the swag winners kind of the giveaway will be announced on our next office hours. So please stay tuned and make sure that you are part of our Discord server. And this is just one small perk of being part of our community. So just make sure you are there because we are there for you and help you with everything you guys need. All right, so I think it was a great session, and thank you, Dima, thank you, Omer, thank you, Novu, for participating and being here and sharing with us all what is been done and all what's coming. All right, so thank you, folks, so much, and stay tuned over Discord for our next releases, and we will stay in touch.
Bye-bye. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks. Bye-bye.